Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Takeoff Tuesday, it's March 10th, and today we get to learn from Bill Predebon. As of right now, we've got 63 participants on the line. Make sure that you reach out to your team. We don't want any ICMs left behind, missing out on these fantastic trainings. And it's always best to be on these live because you get to interact with the instructor, the trainer, and if you ever have a question, you can just come out on mute and ask a question. Then there's the chat, and the chat doesn't get recorded. So it's always a great idea to get on these live. Bill is an incredible individual, and we're very fortunate to get to learn from him because he has taken the Renatus system and applied it, and he has seen a lot of success from his efforts. And both Bill and I work together in Scottsdale, so I've gotten to know him over the last 4 or so years. And I just love his energy, I love his passion, and he's so generous and so willing to help people. And just a little bit of his background before we get started. Before Renatus, Bill was a pro skier, and he did that for 10 years in Vail, Colorado. He realized at the time he was not qualified to do much else. And so then he bought some stores and he got into franchising, and due to lack of knowledge, that ended up costing him the business, and he lost everything. In 2007, he heard about real estate investing, and he went the self-education route, and that ended up being upside down and over $400,000 during the 2008 crash. He then found Renatus and made 8 times more in his first year than he did the previous year as a loan officer. If you ever get a chance to meet Bill, you definitely want to hear his full story. He's got an incredible story. And so since then, Bill has completed over 130 deals, and I want to say it's closer to 150 now, maybe more. And he's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He is a Renatus marketing leader. He's currently on the PIT team, meaning he's in training to be on the PAC, the President's Advisory Council. And I'm excited to hear what Bill has to share with us today. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Keely. How are you?
Doing great, thank you, and you sound good.
That is good news. Thank you so much for the intro, as always. Of course, it's so awesome to have you do these calls. Man, I got up at 5. I think my alarm went off at 5:45 this morning because of the time change that everybody had except us, which is
Yep.
Awesome.
I was up at 5:30.
What's that?
I was up at 5:30.
Yeah, right. And so it's been a little while since I've been up at 5:30. Typically in the winter, I don't get up that early, but I don't go to bed between 11:30 and 1 usually anyway. But I was thinking about you. I'm like, man, Keely's gonna be up pretty soon, like getting this thing ready. And I was out walking my dogs, and it wasn't raining too much, just a little drizzle. But anyway, I just thought about you and the dedication that you have to this. And I'll tell you, for the folks on the line, and I know that most of you know this already, and you contributed in your ways. And I'll tell you, folks, whatever it is you do, big or small, it doesn't go unnoticed or appreciated. It is awesome, and we appreciate it. And whenever you have the opportunity to step up and take a voluntary leadership role, it's powerful. It'll help validate what you're doing, and it'll definitely, in my opinion, it'll give you another reason to come around while you're learning this business and creating a business and learning your education and stuff. So anyway, Keely, you've done an awesome job, and I just love having you. I love that I know you so well that you come out here and do this every morning. So it's just awesome. Well, thanks. Welcome, everybody. Right on. I'm super stoked that we're here. I will kick this off, of course, with my phone number, 760-533-3141. Yeah, type that in the chat, 760-533-3141. It is in the chat if you need my number. And please know, like I just got back to this gentleman yesterday that texted me. I think texted me on Saturday. Anyway, Monday night. So sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back to you, and if I don't, it's typically because your message got buried in other texts. But just reach out to me, and again, and you won't be bothering me, especially if it's important and you need to talk to me right away. So anyway, I just want you guys to know that you're welcome to reach out. You've got my information, and of course you've got your leader's information and your 5 stars info, and Michael is very generous with his time. So and Dane, so and Wanda, you have that information as well. All right, cool. So with that, I got a few things. Michael's, I don't know if you guys get on this call every day or not, but Michael's training was spot on yesterday. I'll kind of
Phil, do you mind if I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's someone off mute. I don't think that they know they're off mute. I sent them.
Yeah, it's SQ. I was going to give it a minute. I think it's SQ. Let me see.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah. I can mute them out. SQ, just FYI, if you ever can't come off mute, folks, just hit *6 and you can unmute yourself, even if you're muted by the host. But, cool. Speaking of that, yeah, thanks, Megan. It was a great training yesterday. Speaking of that, you guys and girls know if there's anything you need specifically to your business. I mean, I know Dane does this as well, but if you have a specific question or thought or comment and you want to put it in the chat or come off mute and just shout it out. I don't care what it pertains to, how specific it is, how broad it is, whatever you're thinking that may help you in today's hour, then you're welcome to come out and chat that up and let us know what it is that you're curious about, or that you have a question on, or you want some clarity, or whatever you want me to talk to, or give my opinion on. Then just interrupt, because I can go any way you want it to go. All right? I'm on video. Perfect. Cool. So, couple of things I wanted to talk about that I got from yesterday from Michael, right? Is I love the idea of like an objection, or when there's an objection, or there is a question, or some sort of resistance, if you will. And if I can remember what he called it, but here we go. So, and I'm gonna kind of go all over the place today, but I'm gonna talk to a couple of things. Man, how do I go about this? I guess I'll tell a little story. Think about this, you guys. I want you to know, number one, I'll give you an end goal. Number one is, when we're working with folks, it is important, in my opinion, that in my experience, that we always have new people to talk to. And I know that you know this, and I know it's easier said than done, but Michael mentioned it yesterday. You guys, most people are not going to enroll right away, right? And so there is a process to getting 5-star qualified and then once you're 5-star qualified, making that $10,000. Top of the day, Bobby. Cool. So check it out. What I'm getting at is, you're going to have some people that you're going to talk to, and they're not going to show up. That's natural. You're also going to have people that are going to, 1 or 2 people that are going to show up when you're inviting, 3 or 4 or 5 or even 10 people. 1 or 2 are going to show up over the course of a week or so. And so 1 out of those 2 people may be interested in seeing another event. Both of them will probably tell you they are. 1 of them will skip the next event, and 1 of them might come to the next event. So out of, a week and a half to 2 weeks worth of work on communicating with somebody, you're dealing, after 2 full weeks, you're dealing with 1 person. So consistency is pretty important. Every week, there has to be a few new people. Now, nothing has to happen, okay? There's no golden rule, but you know what I mean? So if it doesn't happen that week, we have to have that mindset where we're not down on ourselves. We just have to set an expectation of what is going to happen if we don't do it that next week. So let's just pretend we didn't build the second week, or we only talked to 1 or 2 people. Those 1 or 2 people may have even committed to you to come Thursday, but they don't. So you're going to fall back on the one person that you've been working with. So now we're 3 weeks into one individual, but that individual is going to have objections, and we're going to narrow this down in a minute. But the thing is in between there, you can't predict what's going to happen to them in that 3 week time frame. Someone may, it could be as drastic as someone passing away, or someone getting married, or having to travel for work, or anything, right? And then something major. And then it could be as little as, a new season of sports, or something starts for their children. School kicks back in, vacation's over, whatever it is, time changes in that 3 weeks. So then this becomes less important. Now you're still following up with them and they're still interested, but they're in this system. Now I'm going to get to a good scenario or a faster scenario, but follow me on this. Like finally you're going to get them in a one-on-one, and then you gotta work with the funding, right? And you got to overcome these objections. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'll go into detail on my story in a minute, but what I'm saying is things take time. And if we only have 1 or 2 people we're working with, especially if it's a part-time business, right? And you're just getting started, or you've been going at this a year and you're going to work on it. Please understand that there are people that are fortunate, where the right people come into the right situation and they get 5-star qualified soon. But the majority of us need to have multiple people, tens of people in our pipeline in order for us to get 5-star qualified and get through this process over a few months. If you've not been consistent every week with bringing, talking to 10 people, and I'm just gonna use 10 because I used that as the first example. I don't think you need to talk to 10. Well, I mean, we all know massive action, but what I'm saying is, if you're talking to 10 people and a couple of them agree to come, and then a couple of them do show up, and you end up working with one of them over a 3 week period, and you're not consistent every week, then now something gets in the way, and it's been a month, and you finally get them down in a one-on-one, and you're working on funding. Then they got to go through, get funded. They got to spend time with they've never borrowed $20,000 from anybody before, and they've never, they don't even know how to ask somebody about this. And here we are telling them that they need to find an angel investor, and not telling them, but suggesting that's possibly the majority of people need to use an angel investor. So what I'm getting at, you guys, is that obviously we all know it's a process, but if we're not in the mindset, if our expectations aren't set properly, we can get discouraged, but we also could lose sight of what's happening. So let me give you an example. So, at the end of last year, I was working on some goals for my end of year goal, making the pack numbers I needed to make, working with my team to get 5-star qualified. We put together a nice incentive for my team in order to get to have enrollment sales and all that kind of things, right? So, and I ran into someone who was a warm market friend of mine. I'd known him a long time ago, and it had been a while, and we always circled around, but it'd probably been 2 years, and I ran into him right next door to my house, and he was on a job for a business that he goes in and basically is in sales for a foundation company. So this was this could have been as late as early as October or at the latest November last year. And excited, right? And we talked for an hour outside of my house on this call. He was just finishing up on this foundation deal, like 2 houses down from my house. And then he was super excited and came to the Thursday night by himself. And he was a little late. His wife couldn't come. And then we were pretty stoked, and we got on a 3-way call, and we actually did a one-on-one. And this is all over the course of about 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. Then something major happened in their life, and then it was pretty major. It took their time. It took them out of town for a week at a time, and it was an ongoing process. And then and then the holidays hit, and then we actually lost touch for like a couple of weeks, at least like almost a month. Now there was some text here and there. We were going to get back together. I remember calling him from Michigan when I was on vacation, or just reaching out to him. And so like, this is a several month process. And the thing is if that's your only one or two people, like, nobody wants to go 4 months to make one sale, right? Especially, I mean, it would be great even if because you've never made a sale, but follow me on this. You guys know what I'm saying? Is that you never know. And I knew how important this was to him, and most likely, I thought that this is where he wanted to be. So when I reached back out to him again, and I was like, encouraged him to come to another meeting, get together. I sent a text, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, like the language, right? So I sent this text that was very specific, and I remember saying, listen, and I was inspired one day at a training I did, and a meeting we had. And I'll tell you guys, when I go to these meetings and I go to these trainings, and whether I'm the trainer or the audience, whether one of my leaders is training or one of my team members is up doing a testimony, there's inspiration there that can be found that is so cool. And I got inspired by something this day, and I was like, you know what? I reached out. I said, you know what? I'm so excited about what's going on and the changes we're making in this team, and I honestly, I know that you want to be a part of this. And I said something like this. I said, listen, no matter what it is, I don't care. No matter how long it takes, it's cool. Whatever it is that you need to know to help me get you the information so you can make the decision, just let me know. And literally, he texted right away, and he called me back, and he's like, hey, and he's like, can you talk? And he was driving down from a job way up north, 2 hours away. And I got on the phone with him, and we just had a real conversation. And he's like, hey man, I talked to my wife, and she just, I'm in, Bill, but my wife and Amy's awesome. And she's like, she needs to get some clarification on stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, absolutely. And he said things to me that I had no idea that she was even thinking about, or he was even thinking about. And it never even occurred to me that I didn't clarify some of these things. And so I was like, awesome, now I know where you're at. And if I can overcome some of these objections, and then, like Michael said, objections, for lack of a better term, you guys, they're, and reasons and excuses, they're still all, in my opinion, and they're just an excuse or whatever. But what I'm saying is that they're still real. They still believe in him. And Michael talked about that fear, and he talked about that unknown, and knowledge limits fear. Knowledge brings it down, and not just knowledge in investing in real estate, but knowledge on anything you're looking at, right? When we learn more about a car, learn more about a product, when we learn more about something that we're interested in, then we are able to make a decision to buy it. I mean, if you think about commercials, they are simply a teaser. They are the intrigue. They are the thing that makes us think, and it gets implanted in our brain. And then when we're at the store, we might go, oh, there's that thing I saw on TV, or we might even go there on purpose because we're interested, but then we're not ready to buy it yet, but we want to think about it. And then we want to know more about it. So we read the label, or we ask questions, or we ask people on Facebook if they've ever gotten this thing before. You guys get my thing. It's the same thing here.
Well, so, got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you go back just a minute to what you were just saying about what did you say to him to get him to respond right away?
Yeah, this is awesome, Keely. I'll tell you, you guys, I don't care what direction we're going, because I'm telling you, my brain, I got 58 thoughts, and I hope I even get to one of them. But I'm telling you guys, listen. So I constantly have and you guys, for 4 years, it's not been this way in 2016. It's progressive, but you master it, and you work on it every week. So now, over the last year, and my team can attest to this, I think that, and Keo maybe, is that, Keely too, is that, I've gotten better at it, right? So my text was, every time I text and every time I make a call, I'm in a state of mind where I'm not rushing it. I'm actually putting thought into my language and my words. Michael Huggins, words mean things. And I, a lot of this comes from my personal development with Michael Burnoff and being able to frame things. So this is what I said, you guys. I said, listen, I was inspired that day. And I'm inspired a lot when I go to meetings and stuff like that and do trainings and someone comes up to me and says, good job or whatever. Or I look at my team and they do something really cool and I'm like, hey, great job. And I'm inspired, right? I'm inspired on what's happening in our world of Renatus. And so I thought about him immediately. I'm like, damn it, if he could have been here, right, for this, right? Has anybody ever thought that? If he could have been. So immediately I just took a note and then I went right to a text and I was thinking to myself and I'm like, hey man, listen, I totally get it. I wish you, so here's what I said. I go, you know, I should look it up. Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No problem. Okay. So where are you? Bam. All right, so this was, okay, I think this is it. So I said, let's make this blank happen, Ryan. I know it's a lot of money and I know that you've paid for education in the past and stuff has happened. It's all good. I will help you, man. Listen, whatever you and Amy want, I support it. I'm here to share this info and really change people's lives. My team is making it happen. We've created a healthy, abundant environment where people thrive in this information in its lifetime. Let's get together and figure out whatever it is that you want to do is fine with me. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you guys, whatever concerns you have or fears you have, I'll help you through it. I can show you a solution enough to make enough information so that you can make a decision. But let's make a bunch of money together. Bob has created this opportunity and I don't want you to miss it. So that's what I said. Like, I'm surprised I even said that. And at the time, it was what I felt. And I'm telling you, like he literally texted me, I'll be free this afternoon to connect. Like he was, oh no, he texted me from his work phone. It's his other phone that I don't even have in my phone. He's like, hey, this is my work phone. Can you talk? Like right away, he texted me. Because in my opinion, I think what I said was, I'm here for you. And, you know, I got to be honest, I got this from Zach Ullman and Samari. And they said something that they, like, whatever your guest wants, whatever your student wants, whatever your client wants, whatever your family wants, whatever your friends want, that's most important. It's not what we want. We have to figure out what that is, and then let's provide a solution for them and an opportunity around what they're looking for. And that will help bring down that fear. You guys, so I probably text more than I should, like the amount of stuff that I write, but I don't care. And I mean, I care, but what I'm getting at is now remember, this is a relationship that I have with someone, so everybody's different. I might not say that exact same thing. In fact, I won't say that exact same thing to a stranger, but depending on where I'm at with them in the process, I'm phrasing things to actually reach what we've talked about. And I knew that he was interested in this, and I knew that there was a barrier, but I didn't know what it was. And so I reached out with an intriguing question, with a question and a comment and a reinforcement. Hey, let's figure out what that is. If you tell me, I'll help you, right? Help me help you. Like, you know, show me the money. Help me help you, right? And so and so that's what I said. Did that help, Keely?
100%. I mean, just so many people popped into my head that I could send something similar to, who checked it out, but for whatever reason kind of dropped off. But I know that they were interested, and it's just a matter of kind of bringing them back around. But I need something like that to send to them. So thank you.
Yeah, here, this reminds me of something, you guys. Listen, like inviting people to meetings after they've been to a meeting or two. And when I say meeting, you guys, I'm talking about an event. I don't care if it's a one-on-one, a follow-up, a property tour. That is important for them to see that it's not just you. They meet the community. They see the actual factual information, but that is of least amount of value, right? And then it's time to talk. It is time to have conversations. It is time to sit down with these folks. It is time to meet with them on their turf. It's time to spend time asking the questions that need to be asked. Michael talked about this, and really figuring out where they're at. And it takes more than one sometimes. But when you've had that one-on-one meeting, you can then follow up via the phone. Everybody knows that time is valuable. You can't just meet in the middle of the day on every time you want to have a conversation with somebody. So, but when you do have a conversation over the phone or through text, it has got to be on point. It's got to have questions. It's got to lead them in the direction you want them to go, if that makes sense. And if, here's the thing, if you're not good at this and you haven't done it, like, it's okay. I truly believe that you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. All right. And so you may say the wrong thing to the wrong person and even change the direction of their thought process. And that's okay, because they're not gone forever. If they have an interest, there's no way they're going to let something you say, unless you tell them something really malicious, but there's no way they're going to let, like, if you said, hey, I know you're afraid, but don't worry about it, it's fine. And they're like, screw you, I'm not afraid. And then they're pissed at you, and then they're not going to come around to the meeting. That may happen, like, in mentally for them for 5 minutes. But honestly, guys, think about this. Do you really think if somebody is looking to do a deal and you're just a shiesty person, but you still have a really good deal that you can offer them, and you haven't even tied it up and you're wholesaling someone else's wholesale deal, do you think they're not going to go after it? Of course they are, because there's money in it for them. Like, if they really find the value here, and they know that, and most people do, right? And they know that there's an opportunity there. Unless you're malicious, you're not going to turn them off for very long. They're still going to come around. You just got to get back to the point where, they trust you again, or they feel confident in you again, from whatever little mishap you might have texted them or said, right? So you guys get my point. Like, so, I'll tell you when, and I'm going to see if I can remember where I was going, and anybody interrupt me, just come off the line or whatever. But so check this out. So then he called me. I called him right then, and we were both in the car. I pulled over, and I usually don't, right? I'm telling you guys, I usually drive, I text, I don't do this, but I do that, and I call, and I'm on my phone, and I break the hands law, no hands law and all that crap, but I got to get better at it. I'm going to work on it. But my car is a constant office. Like, if I'm not on the phone, I'm thinking about someone to call. Like, if you saw, in Christmas Vacation, get somebody on the phone for me when Chevy Chase was in there, and he's like, and get somebody while I'm waiting. Like, I'm constantly thinking of someone to call to continue my business, whether it's contractors or real estate or Renatus or whatever it is. And I flip through my phone to see who I've forgotten to call back or whatever. But anyway, so I called him back immediately, and I pulled over this time, and I was like, on purpose. And he's like, hey, listen, I've got a few things, and I'd written them down, and these are some of the things that I just couldn't answer for my wife. And maybe I think if you could help her see this, we could get through this, right? And so immediately I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, Ryan, I had no idea. And I'm like, I don't want to sit here and then relay it to you so you can relay it. I go, we got to get, let's get together on a 3-way call, a Zoom, and I gave him options. Like, I'll do a Zoom, we can meet up again, or I've got this Thursday night. I'm like, can you guys come again Thursday night since she hasn't really seen the Thursday night, and then you guys could both be there, and we can either meet before, or you could come across the street with us afterwards. Right? So, like, I gave all kinds of options, right? People love options. Like, nope, we're going to be there Thursday night. I'm going to make sure of it. We'll set up a time where we'll either meet before. And sure enough, they came Thursday night. She sat through the whole presentation. He was a lot late, actually. And then we addressed those concerns at the restaurant across the street afterward in a one-on-one follow-up. I can tell you about them if you want, but I addressed these concerns. One of them was even like, why do I focus on the combo and not so much on the other products that we have, the other options? And and it was kind of, it was kind of offensive. She's like, it's 20 grand. What's wrong with the 2 grand or the 8 grand or whatever? And so it was a legitimate concern that I never even thought of. I mean, of course I mentioned them before. So I'll go off on a tangent real quick and I'll say, listen, this is what I said. So I said, listen, and I always remember, folks, I'm always agreeing because their concerns are legitimate and they're there and they're real. They're not worthy of not doing it, right? So I have to know this from the beginning. So here's what I did. So naturally, I'm like, hey, this totally makes sense. And I even apologized. I said, listen, I'm really sorry that I actually focused on that and didn't realize that I wasn't giving the same attention to some of the other products, but this is why. And I said, here's what I know, right? People ask me all the time, like, how were you so successful? Or if even if you're not me and you're like, hey, how are people successful in real estate? What's going on over there in Renatus in your group? Whatever, how do you do this? How did you learn to do this? What do you do? What did you do? Whatever the question is, what I know is that, I know that I tried it on my own before, and I know that the people that I'm working with, myself included, right? I know that the people that want to make the money the fastest, the people that have been the most successful, the people that have done the most deals, the people that have gotten where they wanted to get faster, people that have set themselves up to have the best opportunity to do this and do it right and do it well and do it with less stress as well as with less possible loss, they enrolled in the combo. And I said, it's not just me, it's also my team, but not just my team, but across the nation. All the stories I hear of people having success, it's the combo. So it doesn't make any sense for me to sit there and focus on something that's not going to give you the greatest ability to success. I have to focus on what I know that works. If you said, hey, I really want to make money, which you told me, I want to change our lives. We want to work on taxes. We want to get some properties. I can't just go, oh yeah, the essentials is great. Start there. It's 2 grand, work your way up. Doesn't make any sense because I'm lying to you. Now, do people start at the essentials in advance? Absolutely. Nobody I know has it upgraded, right? And eventually, and usually that's between 2 and 6 months, right? Sometimes it's taken a couple people a year, but most of the people do it in the first time. But here's the thing. Let's get past the combo. If we can't get the combo or you don't want the combo, you still have another choice. And I even went so far as to say, listen, this is me interpreting what Bob said. Check it out. If everybody on the planet wanted this education, and eventually people will, right? I always foreshadow. I always acknowledge what's coming, right? Give it validation and stuff like that. And I said, eventually people will, right? I said, but not everybody, no matter what, is gonna be able to come up with 20 grand from an angel investor immediately. They might not even be able to find enough value in this for 20 grand to themselves with all their baggage in order to do this right away. And Bob doesn't want to leave them hanging. Bob said, listen, and he probably went through some sort of, and I'm speculating, right? But I'm assuming we don't have to offer the advanced. He doesn't need to do it. Most people don't do it. But why? It's a choice. And it allows somebody, no matter what circumstances they're in, it allows them to move down into, to still become a part of Renatus, to still create value, to possibly even still do a couple deals, get some education, even lower their marketing bucket if we were talking about that, right? All these different options, it allows that person who literally has no resource no matter what to come up with 20, but still wants to get in at some point in the AIT. And so he offers that option. I said, but it doesn't expedite that person's ability to get started. It's going to take a little bit more exceptional effort in order to be as successful as someone in the full combo. And it made sense to them. They were like, oh, totally. It wasn't about me trying to sell them. It had nothing to do with me making a bigger commission or me selling them in the best package or anything. It was about them and what they wanted. And I don't recall if I followed up with a question, but you could have even said, listen, like Michael says sometimes, do you want to be typical, or do you want to have set yourself up for the fastest way to money, the best chance of succeeding, the fastest, right? And also having the least amount of risk, and especially being able to take advantage of anything and everything that Renatus offers at any given time. If you want that, then we need this, right? It only makes sense. So that was one of the objections. But, so this is February. No, it was a week ago Thursday. So it was March 5th. And I started with them in potentially November. So 4 full months at least. And that night, they drove home, I drove home. They got on the computer. They went to 0% credit cards, because that night we went through funding at the restaurant. He got close to $30,000 approved for 0% credit cards coming in the mail within 7 days. We placed his order. They stayed on the line. They signed their order, the full combo. The texts were awesome. And, you know, Ryan was like, she even said something, his wife was like, Ryan's running around like a schoolboy, you know, so excited. I'm so excited too. Like, just like I meant my text, like I can't wait for them to join the team. And just one example, and I'll get to another one, but imagine if you only had that one person, right? And it took you 4 months. But fortunately, I've got a good friend of mine, Steve, that I met on a cold call, right? He called me on an expired listing on one of my properties, and he has become just a friend, and he's working on his funding, and he's already brought a guest who's coming Thursday night to see Bob Tierney, who's super excited, right? And he came, I talked to him at least 6 weeks ago, maybe a month to 6 weeks ago, and I've been working with it. If he had the money right away in his situation, he'd already be in, right? And he'd already have Kelly, who possibly could even be in as well this week. And so already have his first sale. So that's another story of someone I'm working on, right? And then I have, Oscar. I have Oscar and his wife, right? They just came last Thursday as well. They had something came up between them. They were about ready to buy the combo 2 months ago, right at the end of the year, and they decided that where they live was not conducive to what they wanted to accomplish, and they found a deal, and they decided to put everything on hold and buy this house first, right? But he's still coming around. So I'm working with them. They're going to be funding hopefully by the end of the month, because they closed on their property. They're rehabbing the property. They're selling their other property. And as soon as they sell their other property, they're going to be buying the combo, which is on the market. So like my point is I'm constantly working on people. And then, you know, I went to an open house for 2 reasons this weekend. I went to an open house because I wanted to see the property. It's a $1.6 million property across the street from one of my flips. And I was like, open house. I called my wife up. I'm like, hey, you want to check out that big ass house over there? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I'll come get you. It was after the property tour. I'm like, let's go over there. So we go over there, and of course, 1.7 million, 1.6 million. They've got snacks and waters and sodas and stuff. So we're walking around, and there's some kids there. There's a bunch of people coming in and out. Beautiful home. And I grab a water, looking around. I start talking to the agent. I'm talking to this other guy, and Sherry ends up talking to this lady, and we're just talking. So Sherry drops a little hint that I'm in real estate, and then of course when they heard that, they're like, came over to me and started talking to me about real estate, and yeah, right across from Campbell, and you guys, no kidding, we were there an hour. And so I wanted to see the fixtures. I wanted to compare their house to what I'm going to do with my house. I wanted to see their finishes and what I'm going to do for my property. It always gives me, I understand that I don't have to reinvent the wheel on my properties. Where do you get, I do, did I say do? I do add some of my own personal touches, and I change things up a little bit, but for the most part, I keep it neutral and I follow trends. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm not attached to the house. It's not my property. I'm just selling it to the majority of people, right? So I go across the street and I see what my comparable is, and I make it like that, right? But also I was there to see what kind of contacts I can make. And sure enough, in an hour's time, I have 2 very interested people that essentially already know what to expect on Thursday night based on our conversations. I told story after story of people in my community, of myself and everything. And they were asking me if I do events. Well, do you show this to anybody? Like literally, I'm like, oh, you know what I do actually? I'm doing an event on Thursday night. And so I booked both people, the agent and his friend that was there, just hanging out with him at the open house, who's both into real estate. And it's a long story, but it's incredible. But I'm constantly working on this business is what I'm getting at. And I don't focus on, I can't wait on one person, because everybody is going to have an objection. Everybody's going to have a reason, like Michael talked about. And so let's focus on this for a minute. Let's focus a little bit on language. If you do have one person, and so here's the thing, a lot of you are new, a lot of you may not be new time-wise, but you're new to marketing. Maybe you're new to getting 5-star, maybe you're new to developing a team, maybe you're new to just, you know, hey, I've been around a year, but I finally got marketing, okay? It doesn't matter. It's a beginning, it's a new beginning. It doesn't matter where you are in your path. Maybe many of you on this call have made tens of thousands of dollars. That's awesome, right? So, where the heck was I going with that? Oh, I don't even know where I was going with that, but awesome. Sheena, that's cool. So, so this is the cool thing. Language for me is important. Whether you're working with, okay, so that's where I was going. It doesn't matter if you only have 1 or 2 people. Like it's not just, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? We'd all be on Pit, we'd all be on Pack. It's available for everybody and it's simple for everybody, and everybody over time will get what they want from this if they don't learn to quit. You guys know that. My thing, do not learn to quit Renatus, right? If you do not learn to quit this business, you will get what you want, right? So whether you have 1 person or 10 people or 100 people that you're working with, everything comes down to language. And if it takes you 4 months to make a $10,000 sale and it's your first $10,000 sale, so be it. Celebrate it. Celebrate the victory, right? But try to duplicate it. As it's going along, duplicate that process that you're doing so you can have more in the pipeline. So you can have the things that you desire and you can change more lives, right? The more lives you change, the more of your life you change, right? We know that. So language is important. And you've heard me say this, I learned this from one of my, I went to this guy for years, and I'll never forget this, is a state of mind, right? So what state am I in? He used to have these boxes up on stage, and he would talk about stepping in that box. When you step in that box, you're not a different person. Your just mindset is different. You're in a mindset of asking questions. You're in a mindset of a Renatus guide who's got to guide somebody through the Renatus system, right? So this system is simple, and everybody can learn it and everybody can do it. It's just not an easy process, right? So when I text somebody or call somebody, just like even this morning, yes, be a question asker. You're absolutely right. Just like this morning, I go from walking my dog, getting some coffee, right? Talking to my wife, feeding them treats. And then boom, I got to turn on my computer and I got to start to get in state. Then I set my office up, I close the 2 doors, I grab my puppy, and I turn on my lights, I open up the blinds, and I come in here and I get in a state of mind ready to do this conversation with you guys, right? So same thing when I talk. When I want to text somebody, I will write it, and you've heard me say this, I'll write it several times. But future pacing, number 1, you know, when you get started, this is what you're going to see. I can't wait for you to be on the team. I know that you're excited about it too, right? So anytime I'm speaking with somebody, there's a couple things in there. One is, you guys, you know, there's affirmation and acknowledgement. I totally understand what you're saying. I totally see why you see it that way. I can't say I disagree with you, right? So they're like, oh, cool, I'm right? They're thinking I'm right. And then secondly, man, then it's like, depending on what we're talking about, right? You know, when you see the value here, and I know that you already do already, but when you see the full value here, you're going to be excited about getting started. And then we'll work on the funding. In the meantime, let's figure out how to get that complete value over to you. So see what I did there? I already told them they're going to get funded. I've already told them they're going to see the value, but they just told me they didn't see the value yet, right? They didn't see the value because they don't need it because they're a real estate agent or something. And I don't mean that badly, real estate agents, but you know what I'm saying? So the cool thing is that I'm letting them know it's okay, right? That, hey, don't worry about it. You're gonna catch on. And like, they're not sitting there going, oh, this guy's future pacing me, or they're not sitting there going, oh, it's just setting the tonality, and the understanding is one of a mutual respect. So if I'm saying something like, hey, I want you to see the value, or I need you to see this so you can make this, like want, need, some of the words we use, they're about us, and we don't make it about us, right? And then, like Sheena's saying, we ask those questions, you know, what would it take for us to get to that value add where you and I can then move on to worry about funding? Where we'll be like, don't worry about whatever wherever the money comes from, I'm not concerned about it. Let's get to that point. Like when you're 100% in, what's it going to take? But what do you need from me to help you with? Right. So there's my question. Right. And that may not be the exact question given the circumstance. I'm just trying to remind you that I come up with this question. Right. So I acknowledge what they're saying. And then I move them to a future pace. Now, the other thing I do is I interrupt, right? If, especially in full conversation on the phone, and we call it a pattern interrupt, right? Where we change the direction. And I do this all the time. If you think about it, you guys, I constantly do this when I'm talking, and I'll just come out and say, you know what? I don't even know where I'm going, because you might have been doing something, driving, you're talking to someone, you're walking the dog, you're in the middle of getting ready for work or whatever. And my words are coming off my mouth, and you're like, I can't hear what the hell this guy's saying. And all of a sudden, hey, I don't even know what I'm saying. You're like, what did he say? Right? And all of a sudden it's a pattern interrupt. And then your attention comes back to me. Does that make sense? So even in a text, but most importantly in a conversation, we interrupt. We can't go on and on and on and on without changing direction and changing patterns, right? You're absolutely right, Tyrone. Tyron, just absolutely stop thinking of me and focus on them. We
Hey,
know
Bill.
what we want. Yeah, go ahead.
James Lease.
Yes, sir. Oh, dude, I saw you on here, brother. It is an honor. Come on out, my friend. PAC member, my friend, everybody, James Lease.
Well, I first had, I got to acknowledge a lot of it. I was just sitting back and listening to the words, and you have, you inspired me. I was like, man, you go ahead. The thing I wanted to say that you mentioned is to focus. Focus. And you said you walked in your room, your office, and you closed the door and you focus. Can you expand on that just for everybody else to really understand what focus means to create the desired result?
Yeah, and James, that's a key point. Desired result. Folks, if you don't have a desired outcome of any situation, whether it's a single text or a meeting like this, where I have a desired outcome to deliver value, then it's very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to get what you want because you don't know what it is. You haven't defined it. So absolutely, James, I came in here, and number one is my desired outcome is to not fail you, to fail 85 to 100 people and borrow an hour of their time so that I can create some value. So I have to get focused, and you're exactly right, right? You're absolutely right, Wanda. James does rock. So James, I came in here, and I'll tell you, folks, my wife talks about this all the time, and I've got to learn to do this in everything I do. But you've heard people say this. I used to think multitasking is a joke. It doesn't exist. It can't happen. It's a waste of your time, and it's a waste of my time, and I still do it, right? So I'm not perfect by any means. But I'll tell you, when I'm in a one-on-one, when I'm on this meeting, like I don't look at my phone. I don't text, right? When there's something I truly desire, of course I focus on it, right? So if I'm not desiring to communicate with my wife and watch TV as a show with her and just watch the show together and not do anything else, then I'm distracted. I've got the phone going, I'm getting up, getting some food, and I'm not present, right? So what James is talking about is this is what I focused on. So I don't go get food, or I prepare. I already have my coffee and my water so I don't run out of something to drink, right? I'm not going to get up and go get another cup of coffee. I full on shut my doors. So both doors to my office, my French doors and my other door, I shut it. I open up the blinds so I have some atmosphere. I've got the birds singing, and I'm focused on what it is I'm trying to accomplish so I can get the desired outcome. Everything in the setting, I don't have my dog running around, have to worry about if she's chewing on something or biting my other dog or anything. She's a puppy. And I have all of that in my control so I can deliver the message that I'm talking about. So absolutely, you guys, and if we need to bring that focus on every little thing that we do. The little things are the details matter, which is making the initial call, making the invite. You know, if we think about this, and I'll end with this, you guys, and James, great point, man. And thank you for being on these calls. You know, I mean, this is a top 5 income earner, 6 income earner every year in, year out for the last dozen years, and is on this call listening and learning. And it's just awesome to see that. Here's the thing. Come on, think, Bill. It's so funny. focus. Oh, every little thing we do. Here's what I'm saying. It is, we want people to come to a meeting. We want people to see the invitation, the introduction presentation. We want to move them to the next event and things like that. But it may not be what they want. So every time I call someone or talk to someone, I want what they want, and I want to see where they need to go. If the next event is Thursday and I'm taught to build for the next event, of course there's that option, but I don't focus on it. If it's not what's possible for them, I want to give them options. I want to figure out what's going to be the best way for them to get in front of me and the information. So especially after they've been to an event, I don't care if they ever go to another event again until they're enrolled, right? I want to spend time with them. So I have to figure out what it is that they want in order for them to allow me to spend time with them. All right? Yeah, meet people where they're at. Absolutely. And the only way to figure that out, guys, is asking questions and really truly discovering. And literally, I've had to learn this, is caring about people and caring whether or not they, not whether or not they enroll, but whether or not they get enough. Oops. Sandra, did you have a question? No. Whether or not whether or not they enroll, but whether or not they get, I care whether or not they get enough information. They get the right information. They get the information they're seeking in order for them to feel comfortable about making a decision. And 9 times or 9.9 times out of 10, when I do that, whether they have the money or not, the next thing will be funding. They will be ready to get started. Right on. Awesome. All right, any last minute thoughts, comments, questions? Sandra, I wasn't sure if she wanted to ask a question.
Hey, Bill, it's Joey B in Chicago.
Hey, Joey B.
Hey, can you give me a quick, well, I know we're running out of time, but hey, I've had a fella, he's a truck driver, and I've had him to like 7 events. He signed up as an ICM, and we also got signed up as an ex-combo, where he was going to fund it out of his 401k and all this. This guy was he showed up to 7 events, brought his sister, brought his brother and sister, everybody all excited, and then he just went cold on me. And the fella that introduced me to him, the guy that was going to sponsor, said he talked to his fiance, and he went cold. They just want to do real estate and not spend the money.
Okay, so let's make this quick. I get it. So here's the fact, you guys. This is a fact, in my opinion. And you can always check with Scott Rowe and Michael Huggins and some of those guys for their opinion as well, because they're going to James Lee. They're going to know. But here's the thing. I have made this mistake. There is no question that there are 2 people making decisions in a lot of cases. And if we don't address that and we don't find that out right away, we're going to get somebody convinced, and then we are going to, and then they are going to come across this situation where the other person is going to give their opinion, which is very valuable to them, and they will change their mind. Here's why. That other person is talking about something from a state of fear. Michael talked about it yesterday. They are afraid of their friend or their interested party spending money that will not go to value, and that they can convince them that they can do it elsewhere, another way, or the money's better somewhere else, or whatever the case is. Why? Because that person is coming from a place of ignorance. They don't know anything about Renatus except for what your friend, your prospect is telling them. They've not seen an event. They haven't met you. They haven't met the community. They haven't done a one-on-one. They haven't seen the proven results. They haven't seen the testimonies. So they have no idea. You have to get back to why that person was so excited by asking them questions. You have to say, listen, you came here, and you could say, listen, you got to acknowledge what they're going through, why they went dormant, why they went cold. Hey, I totally get it. It's very important. You can't make this decision without someone that's very important to you. I totally get that. Listen, let me ask you, what was it originally? Why did you come here? And what is it you saw that was so valuable that you were ready to get started, right? You got to go to where they're at, right? And hopefully they're going to get you back an answer. And then you go, listen, and then you acknowledge it again. You say, that is awesome. I knew that's what it was. Whatever it is, you compliment them, you acknowledge it, and then you go, listen, don't you think it would be the best if you and I could get on the phone and share that with her, and then I could show her the information? Do you feel like if she had some of the information you had, she might be a little bit more supportive of what you're trying to do, or at least have enough information to really let you know whether or not this is a good idea or not, right? We gotta ask those questions so it's their idea. They're like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was thinking of that, and she doesn't have all the information. But we can't tell them. We cannot tell people what it is that we want or feel or need. We can't tell them. We can't explain it. We can't explain it to them why they have to do it. We can't tell them why they have to do it. We have to ask them to tell us why they need to go to their person.
Hey, Bill, this is James Lee. So
yeah, go ahead, James.
We just had that exact problem. We sent one lady, she went through the whole thing. We put in a cash combo. She had a line of credit. She was funding it. And then we got her in her classes. She was starting to her classes. She went back to her brother, and he goes, cancel. I can tell you everything about this. And so all of a sudden, 7-day rate of rescission comes up, boom, canceled. And we were like, what in the heck's going on? And so I called her back up. She goes, well, my brother said. And so it was right on the 7 days. She put in her order in. I said, so what would it take to get started? She goes, it's just, it's my brother, my family. And so I ended up going, okay, well, if you started at a lower package and, and continue to move forward, and we could bring this to your brother, then would that be a possibility? Absolutely. Let's put in that $2,000 order. She's already got the money. She's already got through the classes, tax strategies last week with Mark Kohler. She's like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. My brother doesn't know all this, but I've got a family situation. So there's difference between a condition and an objection. So in this particular example, this was a condition because her brother does not know. So I just had to address the condition, overcome that condition, and started a lower leg. And now we're going back through, and we're going to be putting in her combo and get her started into the combo. So yes, this was the exact scenario, just happened to me last week, and we overcame it.
Yeah, that's great. And you asked him questions, and you figured out what it was and what was important to him. So that's or her. So that's awesome, and that's gonna happen. It happens to all of us. James, that's great. We gotta go. It's 8:09. I just had someone in Pittsburgh go through the same thing. She was totally stoked. Spent about 2 days with us. Was ready to at least do the advance, already got the money for it, the whole 9 yards. She asked her partner who wasn't there, and he flat out told her he does not need education, and he's their money. He's the one funding their flip. And so I had to go right back to that. My question to her was, listen, if I brought you a deal and the dude had never seen the deal, and you're like, holy crap, this is a good deal, we should look at this deal. And he goes, I don't want to do that deal. Like, is that the way you want a partner to act, like in your best interest when he hasn't even seen the deal? Why would he ever say that if he's never even seen the deal? And she's like, oh, I'm like, exactly. I'm like, you can't, you have to talk about things, but at least let him see it. Right. I'm like, do you see where I'm going? She's like, oh, it totally makes sense. So you're exactly right. All right, you guys. I will be back in Pittsburgh because of nationals. I was going to go at the end of the month, but I'm doing a workshop here in Arizona. I'm doing a Saturday real estate workshop. So I'm going to be back in Pittsburgh the third week of April, the third weekend of April. And then I'll be back again in May, June, and July every single month, probably every 4 to 5 months. But I'll put it on the schedule, and I'll put it on the calendar this week. I'll put it up for April. And then I'll also have a live Zoom that I'm going to be doing every 2 weeks for the Pittsburgh East Coast market there with Cleveland and everything. So people can get their people on the webinars, see the intro, and then get them to the event. All right. See you Saturday, my friend. Awesome. in recommending someone perfect. All right, you guys, you got my number, 760-533-3141. I took up more time than I should have. I apologize. James Lees, thanks for guest speaking today. You are amazing. And everybody else, you guys are awesome. Make it happen. I love you all. And, you know, reach out to someone, make it to nationals. You all know that. We talk about nationals every time. Don't miss nationals, you guys. If there's an issue going to nationals, please, you've got a few days left. Reach out to your 5-star. Reach out to the person above them, their 5-star, your local leader, and express your concerns and overcome it. You guys, we are problem solvers. That's how we become real estate investors and business owners. We figure stuff out and we overcome, and we don't accept no for an answer. So figure it out. You guys make it happen. You guys are awesome. Thanks, everybody. Laugh out loud. Hey, Keely knows where I was going with that. All right, I'm going to end the call for everybody. Make it a great Tuesday. Love everybody. Talk to you soon.